Today on Idealist, we love dangerous cars. After all, is life even worth living if you're not on the edge? So we turned it up to 11 with 11 of the most dangerous cars ever. Let's go. And we're coming out of the gate swinging because even though there are numerous explosive contenders on this list, including at least 2 that are known for exploding, the ones we love the most are the ones that are nearly impossible to drive. So first up, returning to the silver screen, the Porsche Carrera GT, aka the CGT. Now, I don't even know if we have to justify this one. The Porsche Carrera GT was a car that wasn't meant for the public. It is a race car. It has no safety features, and it seems to have a thirst for Hollywood blood. Wheel spins in heaven, Mr. Walker, because we know that none of us will ever rest. At the end of the day, the Carrera GT is just another in a long list of cars that prove Porsche doesn't give a damn. Plus, the clutch. It is itty bitty. And since it's a small diameter multi-disc clutch, there is little inertia, making stalling the CGT extremely easy and embarrassing. Yeah, that wasn't a noob, it's just that hard to drive. Just like this next car, which is another Porsche, the infamous 930 Turbo, aka the Widowmaker. And yes, it is a fantastically cool car. Porsche needed a race car, so they turbocharged their already pretty insane 911 in the 70s and created the fastest production car to come out of Germany. The problem is that the 911 was already hard to drive. Its engine was too far out over the rear wheels, it had skinny tires and no downforce. If you don't know how to drive, like, perfectly, you end up swapping the front with the rear quite a bit and it becomes a very bad situation. I've been in a couple of those. Now, you add this big ass turbo to it, which takes forever to spool up, so you basically don't know it's there, and then bam, you rocket into space or a tree. Seriously, to get the most out of this car, you have to not fear death. And although that snapback was a killer, if you lifted it and slapped on some good off-road tires, the violent snap you'd experience on the asphalt would be way easier to catch in the dirt. So these turbos actually played really good in the mud. Which this next car is same, but different. The turbo was fast for its day. The Scion FRS or BRZ or 86 is always made fun of for being slow. So what's it doing here as number 3 on our list? Well, it turns out that if you're in the market for a sports car for inexperienced kids and influencers, and I'll repeat myself, you end up selling a car that easily exceeds the capabilities of the people who drive it. It's actually the same recipe as the 930 Turbo, just 3 or 4 decades newer. Plus, it's way easier to buy, and inexperienced drivers trying to show off end up wrecking their cars. We can bring up the stats to back this up. On average, 1 in 10 people watching this video have been in an at-fault accident, but 16% of FRS drivers admit to crashing their cars. Oops. Now, just imagine if you added a huge engine into the mix. You get a Shelby Cobra, which is number 4 on this list. Here we go. Lightweight, high horsepower, and without any safety measures. You are gonna see a lot on this list. And here's the thing though, like with the 930, old tires sucked. So imagine a high horsepower car with 0 traction. Yeah, then you try to keep it on the track. I mean, I'd love to try, and I think you probably would too, but I guess I'll just settle for the spiritual successor of the Cobra, number 5's Dodge Viper. And hey, another one that we've already done a video on, and another one that's just a ginormous engine with 0 safety features. In fact, we drove the cheapest one across the USA, which you can check out that video up here. Trav and I had a blast, and believe it or not, the Viper manages to have less safety features than the Cobra, despite being like 30 years newer. Hell, the first gen didn't even have door handles, or windows, or a roof. And as for danger, well, you've seen the videos. You can't go more than 20 minutes on YouTube without seeing a Viper lift off the ground and spin. Yeah, Vipers and Cobras, they're flashy, they're cool, but you expect the danger. But like the FRS, little Toyotas seem to be deadly despite their unassuming nature. And enter the MR2 as number 6. It's called a midship runabout, meaning that the engine is in the middle. and it's a great car if you're willing to learn to drive it. But most people, they didn't take the time to learn. And because all of the weight is behind your head, it will snap oversteer just like the Porsche Widowmaker we mentioned before. You lift off, the weight comes off the back, and you swap ends. So many of these little cars are sitting in junkyards with smashed sides since they were so cheap and they were used to commute for the most part. And then they ended up spinning while you were trying to merge on the freeway. And not every car on this list is dangerous just because of the drivers though. Some just straight up suck, like the Ford Explorer at number 7. For more than 10 years, the Ford Explorer, or what I affectionately call the Exploder, was the most deadly car in the US. The reasons, well, they're numerous. First, they were stupid popular, and the US had SUV fever during the 90s. Second, they had absolutely crappy tires, which you'll notice is a running theme in today's list. But these ones, they were really bad. Ford had been teamed up with Firestone for roughly 100 years, and the tires that they installed on the Explorers, they failed at an extremely high rate, causing 271 deaths and over 800 injuries. Plus, with a high center of gravity, these things tended to roll over a lot. People were 2.3 times more likely to die in a rollover in an Explorer as they were in a traditional car. So then, let's take it back to cars, not SUVs, because they're the safer choice. But this isn't any old car. It's a super car, super duper car. Okay, the Lamborghini Diablo. No driving aids? Check. Way too much power? Check. And looks to die for. This thing was an absolute devil. So much so that they should have called it Devil instead of Diablo. Anyways, what kind of sets the Diablo apart is that it's actually a dream to drive on the racetrack. It makes enough downforce to stay planted. The V12 engine is happy playing high in the revs, and it has fatty tires that keep it stuck to the ground. The problem is that all that downforce and smooth power only really works at high speeds. At low speeds, this thing is an absolute handful. Thanks to most of the generation not having power steering and the all-wheel drive system being plucked from this concoction, the LM002. Talk about clunky. And now, Dodge Ram it, we're gonna be talking about trucks. This list isn't only a list about cars that are a danger to yourself, because the Dodge Ram 2500 is a danger to everyone. Here, at number 9, we're gonna hit you with a PSA. Do not drink and drive. It is bad, especially if you drive a gigantic truck that can easily crush other cars. But you should never, ever do it. Plus, you'd think that it would be total common sense, and yet, if someone gets a DUI, they're most likely to do it in a 3/4 ton bag of electrical problems that is the Ram 2500. The Chevy Colorado, BMW 4 Series, Audi A4, and Dodge Dakota round out the top 5. But the 2500 pulls away way ahead of them at nearly 3 times the national average. Knock it off, just call an Uber.
The damn boy now.
Stop!
Dodge drivers have enough stereotypes already. Speaking of dangers to others, we mentioned explosive in the intro. Of course, we're talking about the Ford Pinto here at number 10. Okay, fine. They rarely did actually explode. They did like to turn into a ball of fire, though, because here is the thing. It's where we need to be a little bit charitable. The Pinto had a huge design flaw. The gas tank was in the back, so a minor fender bender meant gas went everywhere. But that wasn't a thing that was unique to the Pinto. The design itself was actually kind of common, and it actually isn't what made the Pinto so deadly. The problem is that the Pinto was made of incredibly cheap, disgusting materials, and they were everywhere. So it was like the Exploder of its time, or Explorer, I guess, but yeah, I guess they did kind of explode. So it is ridiculously easy to crush one in an accident. All in all, the Pinto claimed the lives of more than 25 people just from gas fires, and that's terrifying. Just imagine if stuff like that happened to a modern, super expensive car like, a Ferrari 458 instead. Oh wait, really? That's number 11? Okay, that's the last car on this list. At number 11, the Unholy Trifecta. And it is hard to drive, it's low on safety, and it catches fire for no reason. Yeah, the glue overheated, Hot oil drippings onto hot exhaust, and suddenly your $500,000 car is a fireball that I don't know if you want to put out, because I don't think you want to sell your Ferrari with fire damage. Sure, there were only 5 confirmed to have burned down, but goddamn, that's 5 too many for a hand-built supercar. Then there's the fact that it's a very fast car that normal people keep trying to drive, that was shipped with tires that were really not suitable for track use. And you just have a modern super high performance car. And that echoes the super unsafe cars of old. And don't get me wrong, I love all of these cars, except the Exploder. I mean, I'm a Ram Charger fan all the way, but most of them I would love to experience driving. Maybe just with, fire trucks standing by. Which ones do you love the most? Did we miss your favorite Dangermobile? Let us know down below in the comments. Otherwise, hey, check out these other vids that we made, because if you like this one, you're gonna love this one. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. Subscribe and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.